In lesson 16, we're looking at examples of multiplying polynomials and dividing polynomials. Our first example, we are multiplying a binomial. It's called a binomial because it has two terms, by a trinomial. It's called a trinomial because it has three terms. So what I'm going to do is distribute the first term across, and then I'll distribute the second term across. And just multiply each of those together. Now when I'm done, I'll have 6 terms, and I'll get my like terms together to simplify. So the first term here, the 2x, I'm going to multiply to 3x squared, which will give me a 6x cubed. Then I'll multiply 2x times a negative 5x, which is negative 10x squared. Then the 2x times the 2 is plus 4x. Alright, so now I've multiplied the 2x across. Now I'll multiply the 2 across. So 2 times 3x squared is a positive 6x squared. And the 2 times a negative 5x is a negative 10x. Then the 2 times the 2 is a 4. Okay, now we're going to start looking for terms that are like terms so we can combine them together. Now this is the only x cubed I see, and then I'll look and see if I have any other x squares, and I do. I have one right here. And then I'll look for just x's. And this is the only constant that we have. Now we'll just combine those like terms together. So I'll have a 6x cubed. Then negative 10x squared plus a 6x squared is a negative 4x squared. So I've used those terms. Then a 4x plus a negative 10x is a negative 6x. And then I have the positive 4 left. Alright, and then that is our simplified product after we multiply those two polynomials together. In our second example, we are again multiplying two polynomials together, and we'll distribute across just like we did before. I'm going to distribute the binomial to the trinomial just because I think that's easier, but you could go the opposite way and take the trinomial across the binomial. You get the same answer. So I'm going to multiply the x across, so I'll have 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus a 2x. Okay, so I've multiplied the x across, don't want to do that again. And then I'll multiply this negative 2. The reason I have to take it across like it's a negative 2 is because it has this minus sign in front, and that's got to stay with the 2. So I'll have 2 times, negative 2 times 3x squared is a negative 6x squared. Then the negative 2 times the negative 2x, that'll be a positive 4x. And then the negative 2 times the negative 2 will be a positive 4. Okay, and again I'm going to look for like terms I can combine together. This is the only x cubed I see. Then I'll look for some x squareds. I have a couple of those. And then I have a couple of just x's. And then this is the only constant that I see. Right, so the 3x cubed will just remain the same. Then I'll combine my x squared, so I'll have a negative 8x squared. And then I'll combine my x's, so I'll have a positive 2x. And then the 4 will just drop down because it doesn't combine with anything. Alright, and so now that's our product after multiplying those two polynomials together. In our third example in lesson 16, we are dividing polynomials, and it's very important to put them in order. So I need to have x minus 4, and then I'm going to divide the trinomial. It's going to be a negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 2. Now, if there would have been an x cubed and the x squared was missing, I would have had to put in a placeholder, but this doesn't need a placeholder. And you notice how they have descending order of exponents for the x's. Very important to have those in order. So first, I'm going to divide this first term here by the first term in the binomial. So first term in trinomial divided by the first term in the binomial. So when I divide the negative 2x squared by x, that is just a negative 2x. Then I multiply that to both the x and the negative 4. So it's a, let me erase that line there. So that is a negative 2x squared plus 8x. Now I'm going to be subtracting, so what I'm going to do is change their signs, and then I'm going to circle those to show that I changed the signs and that way I don't forget. So these would cancel out, as they should. If they don't cancel out, then you need to go back and redivide so that you get the right number that would cancel those out. Okay, and then here I'll just combine those. That's a negative 3x. Then I'm going to drop down that plus 2. Now I'm going to divide the negative 3x by the x, so it's just a negative 3. So then I'll multiply the negative 3 to the x and the negative 4, so I'll have another negative 3x plus 12. And then since I'm subtracting, I'm going to change their signs, and I'm going to circle that so I don't forget that I changed them. So these will cancel and make 0. And then here I'll have a negative 10. And that negative 10 doesn't have an x anymore, so that's just my remainder. So since it's negative, I'm going to have a minus 10 over x minus 4. And that is my answer when I'm dividing, or my quotient, when I've divided the polynomials. Alright, our fourth example, we're again dividing polynomials. And we're going to have to put those in order. So I'm going to have x minus 2. And then over here, I'm going to have that x cubed. But you notice there's not an x squared or an x. So I'm going to have to put some placeholders here. So I'm going to have plus 0x squared plus 0x. And then I'm going to have that minus 6 because it was a negative 6. So that's going to be a minus. Okay, so I'm going to divide this x cubed by the x, and that'll give me x squared. Then I'll multiply the x squared to the x and the 2. So I'll have x cubed minus 2x squared. Okay, and again, I'm going to subtract those, so I'm going to change those signs, and I'm circling those so I don't forget that I did that. So the first 2 will cancel, and I'll have a 2x squared, and then I'm just going to drop these down so I don't forget that they're there. Alright, now I'll divide this 2x squared by the x, so I'll have plus 2x. And then I'll multiply the 2x to the x and the 2, so I'll have 2x squared minus 4x, and I'll change the signs. So these 2 will cancel. Now I'll have a 4x, and I'll bring down that negative 6. Then I'll divide the 4x by x, and that'll give me a plus 4. And then I'll multiply the 4 to the x and the negative 2, so it's a 4x minus 8. And I'll change their sign since I'm subtracting that. Okay, and this will be 2, and that's our remainder. And it's positive this time, so I'm going to have a plus 2 over x minus 2. And that is our quotient. That's our answer when we've divided those two polynomials.